What's up, my know-it-alls? It is time once more for Doctor Who. Specifically, we are reviewing Season 1, the original 2005 reboot, because come to find out a while back, Mrs. Know-it-all hadn't seen those. So this is wonderful, getting an opportunity to sit down and watch them. I'm seeing them again through her eyes, but also getting my chance to kind of relive these episodes myself and discovering a whole new Season 1 than I had ever seen before. So, Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas.
This is the Christmas episode. Even though next week is Christmas, we're doing something different next week. Next week we're going to have a very special Christmas episode of Doctor Who that I wrote. It's an audio drama. I wrote it with a friend of mine, and we worked together to produce it. And it's going to be both the visual and audio, so to speak. And I hope you guys enjoy it. I'll try to put out a promo for it later in the week. But for now, let's get into this. Season 1. Golly, I forget what episode this is. What numeric episode it is. Season 1, here we go. Episode 3, The Unquiet Dead. The dead are roaming the streets of Cardiff in 1869 when the Ninth Doctor and Rose Tyler arrive just in time for Christmas. Teaming up with Charles Dickens, the TARDIS team encounter the Gelth, creatures sucked through the Cardiff Rift from the other end of the universe. Their home lost to war. Surely inhabiting dead bodies is wrong, though. Can both sides be helped? Or are these gaseous creatures not to be trusted? Yay! Though this was such a fun holiday episode. This is a Christmas episode the same way that Batman Returns is a Christmas movie, Gremlins is a Christmas movie, and of course, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. So this is a Christmas episode, and who better to start the adventure with than Charles Dickens?
I was so excited when I realized after I realized what was going on. I was like, oh my gosh! Charles Dickens, because we know how much I love literature. And then, first of all, it's Christmas, so we've watched a million versions already of A Christmas Carol. So this was it was fun.
No, it was very.
It was great. It was great.
Was awesome. Seeing, and then so then you get this whole thing where this is Rose's first true experience time traveling, meaning being in the past and something like that. She's kind of hopped around a bit into some different things, seen some alien stuff, but she hasn't actually gone back in time like this, on this level, in this scale. So much so that he's like, yeah, go to the wardrobe, get dressed, go find something. And she absolutely comes out looking amazing, to which she's like, aren't you going to change? And he's like, yeah, I changed my jumper. Whatever.
They still look like they're from where they're from, with not exactly blending in.
No, because the outfit she's wearing, and actually you can kind of a little bit see it here.
There's no shoulders covered. Her shoulders aren't covered.
Yeah, which at that time frame would have made her basically almost naked.
We're still this time period just showing their ankles is bad.
This is more like the outfit a Western woman working at the brothel would wear.
Oh my gosh!
You know what I'm saying? Like seriously, in the era, I mean. So it's in the saloon, yeah, totally. Just one of the saloon girls, if you will. And I really enjoyed This is also the very first time we get to see Eve Miles. Eve Miles is the actress who later on goes on to play Gwen Cooper in Torchwood, and you see her play Gwyneth, a young 18th century maid, Victorian era maid, who is helping, and she works for the guy he owns the Undertaker, the funeral parlor guy.
Funeral parlor guy.
And but come to find out, she has a little secret.
She's a little psychic. This usually means crazy in my house, but no.
She's psychic, yeah. But she's so great, and of course it's Cardiff in Wales, so don't feel some kind of way about it. And so it's fun though because they really play. You get to see Charles Dickens, the actor who plays him, does a brilliant job, and he's very much I've been doing this for so long and I'm tired and blah blah blah. And he's going to do his best. He performs,
and he doesn't feel.
Story.
Oh yeah, and because I feel like he's almost. He's at his wit's end when it comes to everything that he's written, and now he's just going to go out there one more time, and he's just going to give it his best. But I feel like he's worn out. Like he's not he's not seeing, like, he's not reaping the rewards of him being as talented as he is at the time.
And the one thing he says is, he's like, have I seen everything there is to see? And of course, which, I mean, obviously you're watching Doctor Who, this is all set up for him realizing that no, he in fact knows very little. And because nothing like the Doctor
showing up,
pull back the curtain and say, oh, by the way, here's craziness that you have no clue about. And so one of the ladies, there's a lady, the Undertaker calls her, one of the stiffs has gotten up and she leaves, and they're like, what the heck happened? And they see, when they stop, her face glows. And so they're very much like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And Gwen can tell, like telepathically or psychically, where the lady is. So did anything stand out to you about how they handled that part, specifically this whole possession thing?
I actually thought it was pretty creative, because, you know, how are you going to introduce a gaseous alien race without animating them?
Sure.
I thought that was kind of brilliant, actually, to make them zombie-like without being zombies, because everybody loves a good zombie.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And these were not ugly zombies either. But I like when she went to the theater.
Yeah.
And
Gwen says the last place she had was tickets to go see the great man,
which was Charles Dickens. So that's where her body was going to go. And I like when all hell breaks loose in the theater.
Yeah, and Charles Dickens is literally like, "What's going on?" And he's so. At first, you're like, I get it." But then he keeps doing it, and finally, it's funny, Mrs. Know-It-All was pretty much like the Doctor and was like, oh, just shut up already. Like, why aren't you believing your own eyes? It was great. I was like, and I'm like, yeah, but she said, why don't you believe in your own eyes?
These specters are
yeah, totally.
He was mad, and he was reading A Christmas Carol at the time, which was originally, if you know anything about Charles Dickens, that was supposed to be a scary story, which got lumped into a Christmas story about redemption. But yeah, it was originally supposed to be a scary story.
Yeah, and they did a good job. One thing I love about Doctor Who is that it consistently does that. It gives you these stories, but from like, oh, there's hauntings, but it's not what you think it is. Because the Doctor doesn't have, there's never anything supernatural. It's always something
one thing I love about the Doctor.
Alien, explainable. But you still get it on its face value, like a horror story or a ghost story or whatever. So yeah, man, I liked what they were doing in this episode for sure.
It was kind of cool because I feel like they realized everything pretty quickly in the episode. And sometimes that's a little difficult especially when, you know, because again, watched Doctor Who way after this, that it takes a minute to get to discovering what's really going on.
Yeah.
But they got to it real quick, and then the amount of care that wanted to go towards this alien race before we realize anything else is going on.
Right. So once it comes out, they do a seance. And then during the seance, because the Doctor's already of the mind, something's going on. I don't know what yet fully, but something's going on. And so he wants to know what, and he figures that using a seance, or the seance is really just an opportunity to use Gwen as a focal point because of her ability to be a psychic, as a conduit to whatever this energy is through the rift. We later on find out in like Torchwood and other things, and in this episode you find this out, Cardiff is built on top of a rift. It's a rift in time and space, so things wash up like the ocean or like whatever all the time here. And so the rift was possibly open because of the Time War, whatever else, but you find out that Gelth lost their homeworld because of the Time War. So when the Doctor goes into when later on you understand more, the Time War happened with the bigger elder race on a higher plane of existence. So the Daleks and the Time Lords were fighting and whatnot. Whole worlds burned. One of them was the Gelths. But it burned, leaving them without physical form. But they still had energy. The form of themselves was energy.
That was the cool thing about this alien race, is that while their physical form was gone, they were still alive, and they were, you know, however they die, I don't know, but they were still alive and looking for a place to live.
Yeah.
And they were looking at Earth to.
Well, there's this huge moral discussion that they have. They're like, you have all these dead bodies.
Why can't we use them?
Yeah, and so Rose is like, no, you can't do that, and the Doctor's like, why not? Mm-hmm. You know, and it's one of those few times where the Doctor bumps heads with his companion or with Earthlings, so to speak, because normally he's there protecting the Earth. And his mentality is, well, we can we can let them in, let them borrow the bodies long enough for me to get them someplace else, is what he was ultimately trying to do, only to find out that the Gelth have really turned bad. So there's this whole moment where they go down.
Do you blame them?
No, I understand. They're angry.
Especially since there's a Time Lord talking to them.
Right. And so they're very much about, we don't care anymore, we're angry, and this is all part of that. This is Russell Davies giving us the aftermath of something. It's not enough that he gave us just a plot device that removed the Time Lords as a thing and just left the Doctor to deal with that. He continually shows us the ripples of that effect and that decision. It's going to actually culminate in about 3 episodes, which I can't wait for you guys to see, and we'll talk more about then. I don't want to spoil anything, but you get this really great reveal in about 3 or 4 episodes of what really the true cost of the Time War has been. And least of which, by the way, is the Doctor's own personal, where he's what he's had to do and handle.
Right.
And so the Gelth, so he wants so bad
to help,
to be like, I can help you, I can kick you someplace safe, we can make this right. He wants to make right something that you really can't. It would be the equivalent of anybody trying to, an American during World War II, trying to do their best to be like, hey, Japanese people, I know we just dropped the bomb on you, but let's help. I'll make something better and make it this and that. And trying to, you can't make it up in that moment. That takes decades, if not longer, to really make up that right. Sure. So it's one of those things where this is massive. Anyway, Charles Dickens runs away like a coward at first, only to start to realize that the gas he comes to a conclusion, which
I thought was pretty cool too.
It's pretty smart. Yeah, it's smart
that Dickens did it.
Absolutely. And so he proceeds to run through the house, turning the gas on. More gas in the area means that they don't have to stay in the body. It'll force them out.
Right.
And so that's what he tries to do.
Because that's how they live.
Right. And so it helps get them out of the ones that are attacking the Doctor and Rose, who the Doctor's like on the verge of like giving up. And I'm like, what? And Rose has to come to the conclusion that, if even it is possible for me to be born in 1 year and die 200 years in the past. And so it's like, it's such a great realization that time really is, the way David Tennant later on said, it is timey-wimey. It's winding. There is no, I do kind of wonder sometimes why he doesn't trip over his own feet more. But either way, the end result is that after they manage to rescue, Charles Dickens rescues them. They gotta rescue. Gwen holds them in place. Yeah. She's able to keep them. She can't tend them back because she doesn't have the strength for that. And the Doctor touches her face, and then he's like, "Okay." And you learn later, when he touched her face, he knew she was dead. And he says to Rose, she probably died the moment she stepped into the archway and started this whole thing. But her consciousness was still there enough
to keep what was needed to happen with the Gelth.
Yeah, it was such a in a very Dickens fashion. Charles Dickens himself is renewed by the entire experience. He's like, I'm going to go do this. I have this story that needs a villain. I figured this thing out. He wants to do all these things. And then Rose and the Doctor Rose is like, oh, I can't wait to see all the new things he writes and does. And the Doctor has to explain to him. He goes, no, he doesn't do any of that. It's all the same stuff. And she's like, what happened? He goes, he dies. He dies. Normal stuff. He dies of whatever. He just and she's like, well, then what's it all for? And this is the first of many times that you will see where the Doctor basically says, look, things happen, but we gave this guy a moment. He was happy and joyful and excited about life. So he's not dying like he was in the beginning. Right.
And I had always assumed. I don't know why I always assumed this. You would think I would know better, but because I know Charles Dickens.
Sure.
I thought originally he died right after Christmas, and that was the last story. And it wasn't, obviously, but I don't know why I always thought that.
That's awesome.
And this kind of corrected me. I know that sounds weird, art imitating life and everything.
No, totally.
But I was like, wait a minute, he didn't die?
Right? Well, and
you feel so crazy after that because, being the age I am.
What year did he die?
1870.
That makes sense because this episode takes place in 1869.
Yeah.
So it was literally this takes place 1 year before he dies. He dies later, a year later.
So maybe I was kind of right. No, he dies. If that was in 1869, he died 6 months later.
Wow, 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So I wasn't half wrong.
No, not at all. But yeah, man, I'm so excited, and thank you guys for joining us for this Christmas episode. Thank you for watching this video. I know we're enjoying doing it. It has been an absolute gift to us. The attention and the love and joy and the support you guys have showed us in the Doctor Who community, as well as the fan community here on YouTube. Hopefully we can be just another channel you watch.
And being nice to me too, and patient with me.
Thank you so much. No, you've been welcoming to all of us, and it makes me really happy. So no matter what your fandom is, hey man, make sure you hug somebody and whatnot. But for now, there you go. Now you know. And if knowing is half the battle, you're halfway to being a know-it-all yourself. So, Mrs. Know-it-all, what is your rating for this episode, The Unquiet Dead?
So, call it what you will. Christmas time fuzzies. But this is my 10 for right now. This is my 10.
Okay.
It's my 10.
Okay.
I mean, I know I can probably have another one, but I think I knew who Gwen was, so maybe that had something to do with it, because we watched Torchwood,
Sure.
but I really liked it. It was, and you know me, I like all that spooky ghost stuff, then knowing that it wasn't, nothing in the Doctor Who world is supernatural, so I'm like,
how are they going to write
this? Yeah, so, so this was my 10. I like it all how it unfolded. I like Rose. I really liked it.
That's awesome.
It's my 10.
So for me, only because, and this is one of the few times I'm gonna do this. I know there's an episode later this season that most likely is going to be my 10. I'm waiting until we rewatch it to know for sure. I'm gonna give this a 9.
Okay.
I want to stay close because I feel like my 10 needs to be very well deserved. This was a beautiful, magical episode. I do find no faults with it. I'm not complaining about that, but I have another episode that I feel does a few things a little better.
Okay.
That I'm excited to see in just in about 3-4 episodes. So yeah, man, that's gonna do it for this week, man. Guys, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much for joining us, and I can't wait to do more of these and get you going more in the new year. And let's face 2023 together. So until then, never forget,
everyone loves a know-it-all.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for watching. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. Tune in every Sunday for more series reviews with Mr. and Mrs. Know-it-all right here on YouTube.